So today I got the platinum for Until Dawn. Until Dawn is a horror, interactive decision-making game where each choice you make will determine the outcome of your story and for each character. The game follows a group of 8 friends who reunite after 1 year after their friends Beth and Hannah mysteriously disappeared. But a little reunion isn't the only thing that is in store for them, since Blackwood Mountain hides way more than what we expect, like a dark history involving cannibalism, secret mining operations, and supernatural curses that hides scary creatures that only hunt at night. At the end, their goal is to survive. Until Dawn has a difficulty rating of 2 out of 10, takes about 15 hours, has a total of 29 achievements, and says it only takes 1 playthrough according to PSN profiles. But that isn't necessarily true. I'll get to that later in the video. But I once again decided to split this into different sections, with step 1 being to keep everyone alive and collect all collectibles while attempting to get any miscellaneous trophies. Step 2 being to clean up any missing miscellaneous trophies. And finally, step 3 is to do the No One Survives Until Dawn run and popping the platinum. The game begins with a prologue introducing you to the twin sisters Beth and Hannah and their drunked out brother Josh. The rest of the group decides to pull a prank on Hannah by writing a fake love letter to her, having her meet up with one of our other main characters, Mike, because she has a crush on him. But before we proceed with that, we take control over Beth and we collect our first 3 collectibles in the game. Here we go, our first collectible. Oh, whoa. What? Wait, was that just a spoiler? Oh. I guess we gotta prevent that from happening because we don't want Beth to die. No, we want her to live. Camera. Oh god.
Oh my god. What did our naive sister get herself into now?
We then get a little montage of her getting ready while the rest of the group sets up and hides waiting for her to arrive. Once she arrives, she gets a little freaky and then Sam comes into the room to save her from the embarrassment, but it is too late as they all come out with their cameras making fun of her as she then runs out of the room into the woods as her sister Beth runs out looking for her. As we search for Hannah, we come across this cabin. I'm not sure what it is, but we then get shot at with a flamethrower by a mysterious man. We then flee, and the game gives us our first set of QTEs, which is short for Quick Time Events, which is basically the game's core mechanic used to determine characters' actions. Safe. That is update? Wait, what happened? Why did the bravery go down? What's that not? Okay. Oh, dude, is she dying here? We then find Hannah crying, and as we approach her, they see something that we don't see. Not yet, at least. And they proceed to run away as they come to a halt at the edge of a cliff. Hannah ends up slipping, dragging Beth down with her as Beth hangs on for dear life as a mystery man attempts to help, but the game gives us a hard choice to make. What? Oh my god, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry. No, I didn't. No, I didn't even look. Oh, dude. Oh, there's our first achievement. Complete the prologue. Yo, it's the guy from COD. We'll get to who Dr. Hill is and his role later in the video, but for now, we finish our first therapy session and begin chapter 1. We finally get introduced to one of our main characters, Sam, who is a strong and brave individual. We then get introduced to Chris, who is Josh's loyal friend. We then get introduced to Jessica, Emily, Matt, and Mike, who is Jessica's boyfriend. And finally, Ashley, who has a crush on Chris. Anyways, after a little weird session between these two, we finally meet up with Josh at the lodge, where he has us go and find a spray can of deodorant to use as a flamethrower since the lock on the front door is frozen. But as we adventure through the lodge, we find an interesting collectible, and the game tries to give us a little jump scare throughout the way. Oh my god. Dude. Ooh, okay.
Shut the fuck.
Hey, at least we got the deodorant, dude. Jeez. So after getting the door open, the group wanders in and we immediately get an argument between Emily and Jessica, which I thought was pretty funny. And we also pop our second trophy here as well.
No one wants in on your territory, honey.
Excuse me? Did you say something?
Oh, did you not hear me? Was your sluttiness too loud?
Sounds like
Whoa.
someone's bitter she didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it's
I don't give a crap what you think.
at least I can think. 4.0, bitch. On a roll. Suck on that when you're trying to sleep your way into a job.
Who needs grades when you've got all the natural advantages you can handle?
Oh,
You
please.
couldn't buy a moldy loaf of bread with your skanky ass.
Are you serious? Do you think that's insulting?
That bitch is on crack or something.
Oh, lodge
Okay.
fever. The group then kind of splits up, with Josh recommending that Mike and Jessica go to the cabin not far from the lodge to cool off after the argument, while Emily and Matt go out looking for Emily's bag that she lost. And the rest of the group just kind of wanders off for now. Anyways, Josh then tells us that we need to turn on the generator so that we have power once we reach the cabin. But on our way to the cabin, the path we need to take is blocked off. So they then decide to go through a mine shaft to get across. Jessica falls down and we get a choice to either play hero and help her or to tell her to push the cart herself. But I decided to be her knight in shining armor and helped her out. Anyways, after collecting a few more collectibles and making our way out of the mine shaft, we come yet again to another blockage. But this time, Jessica decides to climb over this one, and when she gets to the other side, she screams, and then the screen goes black. And then we play as Sam to literally only turn on hot water because she wanted to take a bath. Other than getting collectibles and getting chased by Chris in a suit, nothing happens here at all other than Chris getting a spirit board that they'll use later. So after that quick session, we then play as Matt, where we try to help Emily find her bag that she lost earlier. This entire section is also pretty useless since nothing happens at all other than hearing creepy noises the entire time, and I am assuming that their plan was to head back to the lodge. And I say assuming because, well, we'll find out later. But then right after that, we play as Ashley and use the spirit board that we got earlier to play along with Chris and Josh. And we get an option to either speak with Ghost Hannah or Ghost Beth, and I chose to talk to Ghost Beth. The only thing that happens during this part is both Chris and Josh make Ashley ask a bunch of questions, and ultimately Josh gets mad and storms out of the room. The only other information we got was that there is proof in the library for something. And after that, we finally get to play as Mike again and get to find out what happened to Jessica earlier. And it was just a prank.
Boarded that? I was scared. You can't just jump out.
Continuing the path to the cabin, we come across a deer who is hanging on to dear life when it gets snatched out of nowhere. When they make it to the cabin, they think it was a bear that did it, but little do they know, they're in for a little treat. Anyways, her phone goes missing because why doesn't it go missing? And it ends up being thrown into the cabin through a window. And after that, Jessica storms out and starts complaining to whoever is out there, and then this happens. Away from the window, please. Oh, what the hell? Oh! Yeah, that's what she gets for making me wait 40 minutes after her disappearance after climbing over that tree just to find out it was a prank that she was pulling on me. Because I was genuinely curious. After Jessica gets taken away, we take control of both Ashley and Chris during this section. They find a hidden button behind the bookshelf, and when they enter the secret room, Chris finds a threatening letter. So in an attempt to find Josh to let him know about the letter, both Chris and Ashley get knocked out, and we get our first look at the psycho killer. Thankfully, we don't have to wait another 40 minutes to find out what happens to Jessica, since right after that, Mike goes after Jessica. And this is also where we get our first tease of the mysterious creature. Oh my god, is she... Wait, what?
No! Oh,
Butterfly
God.
effect. She dead?
No, Jessica. Jess.
Oh my gosh, she's live.
Jess, are you okay?
Bro, get her off the thing. Just move her. What are you doing, dude? Oh my god. Oh my god. Now she's dead.
Jessica!
Whoa. What was that? What are we doing? Oh my god, I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking, oh my god, no! Bro. If I fall now, I'm cooked. Oh my god, So after my failed attempts, I make it to the top and our time with Mike comes to an end. We wake up as Chris after getting knocked out and we make our way out to find Ashley, and we end up finding her and Josh tied up to some John Kramer saw machine where you are given the choice to save either Ashley or Josh. I chose to save Ashley and ultimately Josh gets killed. On our way out, we find Matt and Emily and tell them what just happened inside and tell them about the psycho killer. Emily then suggests that Chris and Ashley go find the rest of the group while her and Matt go and try to find some help. We then play as Mike again where he ends up at a sanatorium following this mysterious person. This is also where we find out more about the minds and the creatures, since the sanatorium is an important location since it holds the lore of the mysterious creatures. It turns out that there was an incident where a group of 12 miners that went by the name of the Miracle Men survived a cave-in accident. They survived by resorting to cannibalism and were brought here to be treated once they were rescued. We'll find out more about the creatures later, but for now, that's all the information we get. We also make a new friend here who will help us get an achievement later on, and Mike also gets blown up here. Emily and Matt then return to the cable car station where they find a map with a fire tower on it, hoping that it would have a radio to call for help. And then we get Sam in a bathtub being watched by the psycho killer. Sam, who is completely oblivious, decides to go and investigate and heads downstairs where she finds a video playing of what happened to Josh. The psycho killer then appears behind her and we get our third achievement for attacking him, and then another achievement for escaping the psycho killer as Sam. Back with Matt and Emily, we got to the top of the fire tower. They were able to get a signal and call for help, but they were told that they had to stay there. A creature then starts banging on the hatch and then breaks the support cables holding the tower. It then falls and Emily somehow finds a spot to stay at while Matt tries to help her. But unfortunately, Emily falls down along with the tower. Back at the lodge, Ashley and Chris are trying to find Sam, but instead they find themselves being stalked by a ghost which eventually jump scares them. After a lot of exploring, we find a dummy with Sam's clothes on, and then we get attacked once again by the psycho killer, which was kind of funny this time. Chris and Ashley then end up tied up, and the psycho gives us a choice to either take out Ashley or take out ourselves. But I decided to do neither and I let the timer run out. But after the timer runs out, we get a shocking discovery.
You have gone too far now.
What?
Don't you see? Huh?
He's in on
Don't you
it?
see that this gives
No
you
way.
the right to play God?
Now, I know I said that I would explain who Dr. Hill is earlier in the video, but I'm going to gatekeep who he is just a little longer until we find out a little more. But for now, just know that before a new chapter begins, we always get a therapy session with him, and he makes us answer questions that will affect the story for someone. Continuing as Sam, I come across this snow globe and get an achievement for shaking it. Not far from the snow globe, we get another achievement for finding all the clues from the Mystery Man clue line. We then find Mike, and Sam tells him that she suspects that Josh has something to do with everything that is going on. Not long after that, we find Chris and Ashley along with the psycho killer, and we get another achievement. Is it Josh? Oh my god. What? Our host. Psycho's identity was revealed. After finding out that the psycho killer is Josh, we come to find out that Emily is alive. She survived the fall by getting tangled up on a rope. She somehow ended up in the mine shaft that the 12 mine survivors survived. A little bit after that, she finds herself in the same spot where both Beth and Hannah ended up at after they fell. The collectibles we find here indicate that one of the sisters actually survived the fall and was stuck in the mines for about a month, which is important to know for later. Not far from there, we end up finding Beth's head, which I won't show, but it was crazy. Soon after that, we find ourselves hiding from the Mystery Man, eventually running past him and hiding from him, but we didn't hide very well. Back with the rest of the group, Josh then explains that he orchestrated the night's events as a revenge prank, blaming them for the prank that led to his twin sister's disappearance a year prior. Though he never intended to kill them, his goal was to make them feel the same trauma and pain he experienced, believing it would force them to confront their guilt. The group obviously didn't find the prank funny, so Chris and Mike tie him up in the shed. Mike volunteers to stay with Josh until morning while Chris goes back to the lodge to tell the group. We then go back to Emily, and it turns out that the Mystery Man was just trying to help us out. He gives us a bag of flares to use against the creatures, and on our way out of the mine, we finally get the big reveal of what the creature looks like. What is that, bro? What the hell? Oh no! No. What?
Oh my god.
We make it out alive with only a bite on the shoulder. She then runs back to the lodge and meets up with the group, where she tries to explain to them everything that has happened when the mystery man knocks on the door and walks right in, and explains to the group what the creatures are and how they become what they are. He also finally gives us their name, the Wendigos. Now, as to how he knows so much about them isn't actually explained by him, but rather by his journal we collect later on. Mike then remembers that he left Josh alone at the shed when he heard Emily screaming, so Chris and the mystery man plan to head out and save him. But when they arrive, Josh isn't there anymore. Knowing that the Wendigo took Josh, they then get jumped by a Wendigo while heading back to the lodge, and this is where the mystery man meets his final demise.
Oh.
Chris makes it out alive, only hurting his ankle. Once he makes it back inside, they decide to group up in the basement, where the plan is to get the cable car key from Josh since he has the key. The only issue is that the Wendigo took him, so he has to go to the mines and find him. This is also where you get the mystery man's journal and find out how he knew so much about the Wendigos. There are Wendigo spirits that only come out when one dies and transforms a human into a Wendigo if they resort to cannibalism. And since I had Emily get bit, we find out that as long as she doesn't resort to cannibalism, that she'll be fine and won't turn into one. And we also get a trophy here as well for Emily slapping Ashley. So the one thing that I have not been showing out on this entire time are the therapy sessions we get at the ending of every chapter with Dr. Hill. Now, not every single one is important, which is why I haven't shown any. But this one in particular is very important. It turns out that the person we play as during these therapy sessions is actually Josh. The real Dr. Hill was Josh's psychiatrist, but the sessions you played through are actually Josh's delusions, a manifestation of his guilt and deteriorating mental state for Josh after the tragedy. Now, the reason as to why this one in particular is important is because it determines the ending I get for Josh, whether that be the good or bad ending. But I also have to make sure I pick up a certain collectible in the final chapter. But what I choose to say here actually costed me missing out on an achievement, and I had to get it in my cleanup phase. Anyways, we continue as Mike and end up back at the sanatorium, meeting up with the wolf from earlier. This is where we find out the truth about the Wendigos. There is so much to explain about them, which I won't get fully into, but to understand the basics, the miners who survived the cave-in accident survived by cannibalism. When a person eats human flesh, they become possessed by the Wendigo spirit, leading to a physical and physiological transformation into a feral, monstrous creature. The staff experimented on the rescued miners, monitoring them until they had transformed into the Wendigo. The Wendigos are humans. There is so much more lore to the Wendigos and everything else, but to simply just understand is if someone gets cursed and resorts to cannibalism, they will turn into a Wendigo. Anyways, besides all of that, I got the achievement for finding all of the clues from the 1952 clue line. After making my way through a cell block full of Wendigos and blowing up a bridge, I then get 3 achievements here. One for collecting the last intractable collectible, picking up the odd figurine, and for keeping the wolf alive throughout the sanatorium. Mike ends up getting double teamed by Wendigos, and again, the screen goes black. But we find out that Jessica, who disappeared ages ago, is actually alive, and I end up getting an achievement for keeping her alive when she got taken earlier. Now, this next section is kind of useless since we just climb down into a sewer and end up in what I'm assuming is the mines. The group decides to head back and wait in the basement, so we take control of Sam and rock climb up to the top and eventually end up outside by the sanatorium, where we find Mike fighting off a Wendigo, ultimately blowing up the place. Starting the final chapter in the game, we unexpectedly play as Josh. He sees hallucinations of Hannah and Beth because of his overwhelming guilt and sorrow over their disappearance. The hallucinations force him to confront the horror of what happened, with zombified versions of Hannah and Beth asking why he didn't save them, making him relive the trauma. His visions are a clear sign of his deteriorating mental health as he struggles to cope with the loss and his own responsibility. Our segment with Josh comes to an end when he sees a hallucination of a Wendigo. We then continue as Sam, and this is where we find a very important collectible. The collectible we find here is a journal written by Hannah. It turns out that she actually survived the fall and was in the mines for about a month. Hannah was alive with only a broken leg, but over time she started getting cold, and it wasn't just the cold that was making her weaker, she began to starve, eventually leading her to cannibalize her own sister. Hannah then writes that she doesn't feel any more pain and feels that she is getting stronger, eventually leading her to transform into a Wendigo. Now, this collectible isn't important just because of the information it holds, but because it also determines the ending we'll get for Josh. Anyways, I then get the achievement for finding all of the clues from the twins clue line. Sam and Mike finally find Josh and he gives us the cable car key. They plan to meet up back at the lodge, so Sam, being the rock climber she is, leaves us while Mike and Josh walk back the way they came. On the way back, Josh gets taken by none other than Hannah.
No, you're not real!
Bro, he is, dude.
No, you're not!
I was thinking this could have been Hannah because of the freaking drawing. Or, yeah, the drawings on the scribbles in the book. This is Hannah. After what seemed like forever, we finally play as Matt again, and this time Jessica has tagged along with us. Making our way through the mines, we end up being chased by Hannah, but being the absolute GOAT, I managed to hide and live to tell the story. This is also the last time we'll see both Matt and Jessica. Continuing as Sam, we make our way through the woods and get the achievement for collecting our final collectible in the game. We make it back to the lodge when somehow Mike appears and makes it back at the same time as Sam. When inside, they go to the basement to tell the others about what happened, but they come running out as they are being chased by Wendigos. Now earlier, the mystery man did say that if you stand still long enough, that you'll basically be invisible to them. Reminds me of Drax.
Oh, dude, how long have you been standing there?
An hour. I've mastered the ability of standing so incredibly still.
Hannah then 1v2s the other Wendigos, which gives enough time for the others to leave the lodge and for Mike to break the light bulb. Sam will then flip the light switch, causing an explosion and destroying the lodge with Wendigo Hannah inside. Switch! Oh, there goes the lodge. Ooh, butterfly effect. The result of chaos. I then get 3 achievements, one for completing a full playthrough of the game, another for having all 8 friends survive, and finally another for respecting the wildlife of the mountain. And the ending I got for Josh was actually the bad ending because I made the wrong choice during this segment here. So I'll have to get the good ending for him in my cleanup phase. With step 1 done, we can finally move on to step 2 and 3. So in the beginning of the video, I said that this game takes 1 playthrough according to PSN profiles, which isn't necessarily true. You don't have to play the game from the very beginning, but you do have to play the game from the chapter you selected all the way until the very end of the game to save your progress. I decided to start off with the more easier achievements that don't require me to play the game all over again, such as sawing off Mike's fingers with a broken machete, taking a bad selfie with Jessica, having Mike survive the sanatorium in chapter 9, opening the trap door as Chris or Ashley, trying to change the past, having Emily or Matt defend themselves with a flare gun. I then got Josh's good ending. I then replayed the game, but this time only keeping Matt and Jessica alive. I then started my No One Survives run, and during that run, I got the achievement for Ashley failing to let Chris inside in time. And finally, getting the This Is the End achievement and popping the platinum. Overall, Until Dawn was a really fun experience and I had a really great time playing it. The only downside I would say there is you cannot skip any of the cutscenes, so you have to sit there and watch them all over again. Overall, I really enjoyed this game and the story, along with all of the lore it has to offer. Anyways, I really hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.